Commission hearing of June 21st, 2018. Our first item of business is to approve the minutes, which have been reviewed by the PIC staff from June 7th, 2018. Our first item for the public hearing is on a petition by Orange Barrel Media, LLC for the granting of projection license for the installation of a digital marquee over a portion of the sidewalk within Boylston Street, Boston proper, on its northerly side at 621 Washington Street, located west of Washington Street. This was new business on June 7th, 2018. This is as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Marquee License Plan, Boylston Street and Washington Street, Boston proper. One sheet dated May 30th, 2018. Morning, Chris.
Thank you. For the record, Chris Rainier from Goulston & Stores on behalf of the petitioner, Orange Barrel Media. I have with me Dave North, Director of Development from Orange Barrel, and Rick Latini from Howard Stein Hudson. And thank you for having us back again. Just by way of a recap, this is a digital sign to be located at the corner of Boylston Street and Washington Street. It's a single-sided sign facing south. There are one-way streets in each direction, and these are, as I think we've mentioned to the board before, pedestrian-oriented signs. The screen it has no moving content. It changes on a slow repeat, and it's designed really to capture eyeballs of pedestrians, not vehicles. We've been working through the community and the public approval process over the last couple of years. Where the sign is located on the building was determined in coordination with both the BPDA urban design staff and the building's original architect to help shield, to the extent we can, some existing building louvers to try and provide some architectural treatment in that area. And as mentioned at New Business, in order to provide some airflow behind the sign for those louvers, we do extend a little bit out over the sidewalk. As previously mentioned, we've been approved by the BPDA. We have a determination of no adverse effect from Mass Historic, and we are at the 1 yard line on our BPDA license agreement. I'm not sure if Mark McGonigal is here from the BPDA, but the two remaining issues are just dealing with how we document some content provisions, but we're very close. That BPDA license agreement does include content requirements, so we do have a 10% community content that we regularly exceed. As mentioned to the board before, or the commission before, we work closely with the community and have great success in placing content. And most recently, the Urban College on our W Hotel sign is having content, and Orange Barrel works very closely to help provide the technical expertise to community groups to place that content to great success. We do have a draft of the license agreement with PIC that will include the pre and post traffic studies as required for the W. I did provide an update to the commission. I know there's some interest in our community outreach. I won't go through all of it, but it was extensive. And we do have 3 letters of support that have been submitted to the commission. As with anything, there's probably not unanimity on the sign, but we have, I think, really gone above and beyond in terms of community and abutter outreach and meetings. With that, I'll turn it over to Rick to go over some of the technical details of the sign, and then we'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Rick Latini with Howard Stein Hudson. As Chris mentioned, this is at the corner of Washington Street and Boylston Street. The board I have here is what you'd see as you travel north on Washington Street. As I mentioned, at New Business, the sign is about 39 feet 2 inches long by 18.5 feet in width. Its depth is about 1 foot 9 inches. Our license is a little bit over 2.5 feet over the public way. That's because the sign's not flush against the building. Actually on the Tremont Street side, the edge of the sign actually lines up with the existing building. So the license area as far as about 90 square feet. It's going to be heat traced, and it has over 21 feet of clearance over the sidewalk. I'd like to comment on a comment that the commissioner had last week on the W Hotel. We do have a pre-existing sign installation study. I can leave a copy of that. We haven't done the post yet. We're trying to obtain crash data from the Boston Police Department. We understood they lost their intern in funding this year, so we have asked for a public record request and several times called them. We finally have a live person over there who's slowly giving us information, so we are going to produce that as soon as we can. I just talked to the client, and we can look at our traffic operations now. We were originally holding off because the Moxie and Emerson out there are taking lanes away, but if the commission wishes, we'll go do that study now, and then we can come back to it when the construction clears up too if we need to. So So we don't have the post yet, but but we're trying to gather the information we need for that, for the W Hotel, so.
Have you contacted the RMV? Because ultimately, that's where it's all
I-
given to them.
We have, but I haven't heard back from him. I talked to Tom Timlin, who's actually called Boston Police for us too, so. Yeah, well, that's why we're actually trying to get it to a different higher level to see if we can push it, because we have several projects where Boston's holding us up, not City of Boston, but we've been held up with the crash data on several projects, so.
Do you have a preference, Commissioner, for whether the post-study for the W is done after the Moxie is wrapped up and Emerson is?
I would think that obviously you've seen the construction set up for the Moxie. It kind of skews the
Okay.
objective nature of what the analysis is supposed to be. So I think we should wait until after the
Okay, thank
Moxie.
you. I wanted to just say that my client was willing to pay for it twice, actually, but I appreciate that.
I think that, two things. First, I know that obviously there was some interest in the abutter reaction about the residential building that is catty corner to this. You should note that of the 3 letters of support, did we hear from the building that is at that location?
We've not heard back. We did, let me just get my notes here, of how we reached out. Sorry, just,
Okay.
let's see here. Here we go. In connection with the OOA permit hearing, they did get certified notice of that application. We had heard nothing back. Our associate, Dave Newman, who's been working on the community outreach, spoke with the owner's office and left messages on the 11th and the 19th to offer to share the presentation, answer any questions. We haven't got any follow-up from that.
So this is a follow-up to that. I did talk to the owner today. So it's William Tebow. He did receive the notification. Was under. He thought it was just a sign. He did not know that it was a digital sign. He would like to get that presentation. I can share that contact information with you. But I think it's paramount that he get the basically the show of what's going to be the board, how it's going to operate, what's the specifications, etc. So I can share that information with you.
Thank you, and happy to meet, obviously, and Orange Barrel has a strong track record of outreach to abutters, neighbors. When we worked on our Fenway sign, the Lansdowne Street sign, there was some questions about light, and we were able to work through that. Light levels can be adjusted. It does go into sleep mode at night where there's no content other than some soft artistic comment, because that looks better than just a blank screen. So we are happy to meet.
Good, because he's a developer, he's a reasonable individual. Obviously, he's directly adjacent with a residential property. We need to get that in front of him.
Yep.
So I think there are these 2 outstanding issues, and we can take an action contingent on those. One is that presentation to the abutter. The second, I realize that we're going to have to wait for the post-survey for the W, but if we can get, if there's some general documentation that you can provide around the impact of the W, the sign on the W Hotel, which can help us with greater confidence understand the impact this might have on this particular intersection, that would be helpful. A sort of pre-analysis, and I would defer to Commissioner Hansford on sort of what that would look like, keeping in mind it does not have to be the full post-analysis that you plan on doing. So.
Yeah, unfortunately, our traffic engineer could not attend today, so I'll check with them when we're back in the office and see what we can provide in terms of a general interim update.
Other questions or comments? Amy or Todd? Members of the public? All right, I'll take entertain a motion on this item, again, contingent on both the final, I'm sorry, please.
Good morning. My name is Caitlin Callahan, and I'm here on behalf of Urban College of Boston. Our president, Michael Taylor, couldn't be here today, so asked me to come in his stead to voice our support for the digital sign at the corner of Washington and Boylston Street. Last September, Urban College moved into our new campus at the China Trade Center, and our students, faculty, staff, and trustees have been thrilled with the transformation that's taken place. Nearly 1,500 students attend Urban College each year, and approximately 70% of our students, who are mainly minority adult women, live in the city of Boston. Almost all of them are working full-time, attending classes with us part-time, and raising families. Orange Barrel's digital facade will face our college and Liberty Tree Plaza, further enlivening the immediate area where our students commute in the evening, including the Chinatown and Silverline T stops. Given the sign's proximity, we appreciate the agreement Orange Barrel has made to prohibit marijuana, tobacco, nicotine, nudity, and alcohol advertising on this sign. As I mentioned, Michael Taylor and other members of the college have met with Orange Barrel's local team on several occasions, and we are confident they're committed to working with our community to address any concerns. We're also pleased that Orange Barrel's sign will provide our community with free nonprofit messaging, and they're currently helping promote the school on the existing W Hotel sign and have been really outstanding to work with. Over Memorial Day weekend, we held our commencement at Emerson's Cutler Majestic Theater. A few weeks prior, we reached out asking if it would be possible to modify one of our signs to congratulate our 2018 graduates. Dave North and Jay Harris replied quickly and enthusiastically, and they even increased the frequency and duration of the message during and immediately following the commencement. Most of our students are the first in their family to graduate from college, and so seeing that sign up celebrating their accomplishment was really meaningful. And in just in every interaction and communication, Orange Barrel has treated Urban College with great respect. So just thank you for your consideration of our strong support for their sign.
Thank you so much. Thank you for all that your institution does. Please.
I'm Jean Kachochin. I'm a resident at 1 Avery Street, and I'm president of the condominium board. And I just wanted to express that our building is in support of this sign. We got the direct registered mail from them, from Orange Barrel. They provided a special meeting that residents could attend, and the concern was so great that nobody came. But they've expressed their support of it to our director of residences as well as to me. They've gone and checked the sign out, and so I just want to say, someone said, how could we be opposed to it? So for the neighborhood and stuff. So I just want you to know that as a resident, we're in support of this proposition.
Thanks so much. Appreciate that. One other note, just reminding Caitlin, your testimony reminded me of, I think, a note that Commissioner Nelson had mentioned in the new business hearing, which was, given the fact that you're above an Orange Line head house across the street from the Silver Line stop, the inclusion through of sort of real-time transit information would be fantastic as part of this, in addition to sort of the support of content from Urban College, et cetera, which I know that you're already thinking.
And we do the real time. Yes,
Yes.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Great. Excellent. All right. Any other comments from the public? Again, entertain a motion on this, again, contingent on both that sort of presentation to the abutters adjacent and then some sort of preliminary assessment that works for BTD about the W Hotel sign.
I'll make a motion to approve the petition by Orange Barrel Media LLC for the granting of a projection license for the installation of a digital marquee over a portion of the sidewalk within Boylston Street, Boston proper, as read into the record by the chair and as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Marquee License Plan, Boylston Street and Washington Street, Boston proper, one sheet dated May 30th, 2018, with a caveat that the team meet with the butter adjacent to the sign and give a take in any issues and or concerns that they may have. Additionally, with the traffic operations study that forthcoming after the Moxie Hotel, that information is forwarded to the commission.
Second. All in favor? Aye. So moved.
Thank you. Thank you.
Our next item is on the petition by Starbucks Coffee Company for the granting of a sidewalk cafe license for seasonal outdoor seating within Arlington Street, Boston proper, on its easterly side at address number 52-78, located generally between Park Plaza and Columbus Avenue, and consisting of seating for 12 persons and approximately 280 square feet within the public way. This was new business on June 7th, 2018, and this is as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Sidewalk Cafe Plan 52-78 Arlington Street, Boston proper, one sheet dated February 15th, 2018.
Good morning, and members of the board. My name is Patrick Mahoney. I'm here from Boston Zoning Strategies representing Starbucks. For our sidewalk cafe permit with me is George Collins, registered land surveyor.
Hi, I want to present the plan to you. We have a sidewalk cafe, 7 feet by 42 feet, consisting of 12 seats, one being handicapped. We've left an 8-foot passageway, concrete for the existing sidewalk, and we had a pedestrian study done that said it was adequate. As you can see on the plan, we do have a ADA ramp here, but there's no sidewalk. And looking at the pedestrian study, it's never been used. Park Plaza redid all their sidewalks around the building. So anybody with disabilities is being dropped off around the corner. So it's there, but no one's ever been dropped off there, and cars pretty come by at a fast rate of speed there anyway, so it's not really safe to use it. So that's why we're having it against the building.
You essentially just covered this, but we had talked about in the new business hearing the idea of shifting the sidewalk cafe
Right.
from being against to a sort of on the curbside. Can you just touch on that?
We did bring that back to the client and to the landlord. There was specific concern related to Arlington Street and the proximity of the tables, mostly the patrons with their back to the street, as Arlington is a one-way street and a truck route. And they felt, and I agree, that it proposed a hazard, an unnecessary hazard.
We did receive a notification from John Arabia, who's the CEO of Sunstone, the owner of the building, that he's in favor of this product moving forward. Additionally, we received the level of service information, traffic analysis and stuff, and it meets the warrant.
Thank you, Mr. Hesford.
Other questions or comments? Amy or Todd? Members of the public? All right, I'll entertain a motion on this item.
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by Starbucks Coffee Company for the granting of a sidewalk cafe license for seasonal outdoor seating within Arlington Street, as read into the record by the chair and as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Sidewalk Cafe Plan, 52 to 78 Arlington Street, Boston proper, one sheet dated February 5th, 2018.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Thank you so
you.
much.
Thank you very much.
Our next item is on a petition by RFM Block on Congress 1 LLC for the making of specific repairs within Quaker Lane, Boston proper, located generally between Congress Street and Devonshire Street, and consisting of curb, roadway, sidewalk, and pedestrian ramp reconstruction, as well as new and relocated specialty pavement and overhead lighting. This was new business on June 7th, 2018. Thanks, John. As shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Specific Repairs Plan, Quaker Lane, Public Way, Boston proper, 2 sheets, dated May 2018.
Morning. Thank you very much for having us. So, as you just mentioned, we're here. I'm Bill Grosvenor. I represent Related Beal. We're redeveloping Congress Square with that Quaker Lane. We presented previously. This is, hope to be a sort of pedestrian thoroughfare. Activate the lane so that it's a place where people can gather, restaurants, retailers, things of that nature. So I think I'll turn it over to John so he can walk through the plans.
Good morning, John Schmidt with Niche Engineering, and I apologize for the late delivery of those plans. The only changes on that plan is the addition of the public street lighting that was requested during the new business hearing. As well, on that plan, we also indicate a accessible handicap ramp at Quaker Lane and Congress Street, where we had originally proposed maintaining the blue pavers. So as you are aware, Quaker Lane is a public way that connects between Congress Street and Devonshire. We've had previous approvals before this commission in 2016 for canopies as well as recharge wells. For the past 2 years, my client has been working with Landmarks, the BPDA, disabilities, as well as PIC staff to come to a design that meets everyone's needs. We are maintaining the vehicular access between Congress Street and Devonshire, and then we're creating a pedestrian plaza on the dogleg section here, but it's still open for deliveries and emergency egress, access and egress. The materials, which was a lot of the conversation over the last 2 years, we are reusing the existing granite pavers that were within Quaker Lane as well as what were in Devonshire. We received, the MAAB had a hearing on Monday where they granted the variance for the use of the granite pavers within Quaker Lane, except for the wheelchair ramp that I mentioned earlier. So these drawings that I presented today reflect what the MAAB has requested. We did have a discussion at the new business regarding the canonary overhead lighting. We have been in conversations with the fire department, and they are presently not in support of that. We also met with Boston Street Lighting on Tuesday and worked out a design with them that is reflected on these plans. So we are proposing 3 acorn lights within Quaker Lane. We do ask for conditional approval in the sense that we can continue to explore other lighting options, and we will not. And then the final Mylars will represent those options, but whatever we propose will be approved by the fire department as well as by PIC staff.
So in effect, you're only lighting a third of the street.
There's a light here, here, and here. Correct.
But Quaker Lane is a lot more than just those 3 lights. You have both ends,
Correct.
right, and there, and on the other end,
street light here. I mean,
up the other side also.
we have a street light here.
It's not lighting that portion of Quaker Lane. So my point being is that you're illuminating a third. You got 2 more thirds to go.
All right, well, we'll continue to work with Boston Street Lighting to ensure that their needs are met.
It's very important. That's public safety.
Understood.
Yeah, and our goal again is to really activate that and make it a place for people to gather at night. So we're, the catenary lighting thing, we previously thought that we'd had approval, but was recently rejected. So we sort of had to go back to the drawing board to an extent. But we are going to be providing enough light to make this sort of an active place to.
Oh, right now you're not. So that.
No, I hear you. We're going to work towards getting that.
So I'm trying to figure out how we go forward with this if that's not in place and how we capture that.
I assume when you had the conversation with street lighting, you were focused mainly on the places where the catenary wires are right now, and
Correct.
as a replacement, as opposed to sort of thinking of.
Yeah,
Right.
we'll go back.
Yep.
And I anticipate probably there may be a light in this section here.
Right.
Granted, it is tight and you need it well lit, but you don't want to compromise access as well. I mean, we basically have maybe 16 feet here at best. And then through here, we'll see we'll confirm that we've had a light up here and here, and if not, we'll add to that.
So, obviously, you would receive the MA approval to use,
On
preference to use the
Yeah.
Quaker Lane itself, right?
Correct. The MAB approved reuse of the granite paver. We have a granite pavers for this slope through here, and then we have some more over here, some more over here, some more over here. So throughout that. But we do maintain a 5-foot wide concrete walkway in this area.
And there was some conversation, I believe, in the new business hearing about whether the building that you're surrounding and the owner of the building you're surrounding is sort of comfortable with the plans that you're proposing, or those perhaps without the catenary wires. This becomes a little bit of a different conversation, but have you had any subsequent conversations with that?
So we've been coordinating. They're still really very early on in their own design, so it's sort of hard for them. We were specifically speaking about the catenary lighting previously. They were open to it. They have no problem with it. That was early on in the discussions, but again, we've been coordinating with them on a number of different items from the butter's perspective, and it's been a fine relationship. So we'll come to a compromise sort of wherever it is from the lighting perspective.
Do we have a letter on file from the abutter? No? Because as in all motions that we usually take, obviously this needs to be signed off by the abutters on the
Under the terms of an agreement that the abutters are party to, Mr. Hedstert, they agreed to specific repairs to Quaker Lane and to fund a portion of it. So I think there's a legal document. We could certainly provide that to Chong if that's helpful.
That legal document would be when you guys were the current owners.
But they bought into it. It applies to successors in the
You're saying that they bought into it.
Yes, sir. Yep. I mean, because it was such an important aspect of the whole redevelopment. So, okay, sure.
I think one of the reasons why that would be important to the point of there's limited width on the sort of short section of Quaker Lane. That potentially what we may be looking at is wall-mounted lighting or something like that, which is going to require their collaboration, obviously.
Yep.
So.
Right.
And they seem to be, from my experience with them, much more amenable to dialogue than the prior owner, which is a great thing.
Other questions or comments on this? Amy or Todd?
We're good.
Members of the public? I'll entertain a motion on this, again, sort of contingent upon a final lighting plan that's approved by the street lighting department that not just addresses the catenary wire section, but the entirety of the plan.
Understood.
I'll make a motion to approve the petition by RFM Block on Congress Street LLC for making specific repairs within Quaker Lane, Boston proper. It's read into the record by the chair. Shown on the set of plans entitled City of Boston, Public Works Department, Engineering Division, specific repair plan, Quaker Lane, Public Way, Boston proper. 2 sheets dated May 2018, contingent on the approval of the final lighting plan.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Our fourth item is on a petition by Cronin Holdings LP for the making of specific repairs within Seaport Boulevard, South Boston, located on its northeasterly side at address number 150, generally across from B Street, and consisting of curb realignment, roadway, sidewalk, and pedestrian ramp reconstruction, as well as new and relocated specialty pavement, street lighting infrastructure, traffic signal infrastructure, storm drain infrastructure, private utility infrastructure, accent lighting, bollards, driveway curb cuts, and landscaping, including stairs and water features. This was new business on June 7th, 2018. And this is as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Specific Repair Plan 150 Seaport Boulevard, Seaport, 3 sheets dated May 4th, 2018.
Good morning, everybody. John Pulgini, I'm the attorney for the project. With me today is Michael Knieve from the Cronin Group, Will Nichols from VHB, Rebecca LeClaire from Elkis Manfredi. I know we've gone through this before. We've been before you guys several times. Just by way of history, this proposal is a 250-foot building with 2 floors of restaurants and 114 residential condominium units. It went through an extensive community process. We had approvals from the BPDA, the Zoning Commission, Conservation Commission, and all state agencies. Additionally, we received over 4,000 letters of support from the community, something that we're very proud of. The benefits of this development is, most importantly, it's going to build over a 9,000 square foot harbor walk, similar to what we see behind Liberty Wharf, that will connect Seaport Boulevard to Pier 4. $1.5 million toward the Martin Richards Park, 46 deeply subsidized senior housing in South Boston, $13 million for waterfront access. So the project itself has a tremendous amount of community benefits. At this point, what I'd like to do is turn it over to Will Nichols from VHB, and he'll walk you guys through the process. We have made several changes and did additional community and regulatory outreach after we last appeared before you 2 weeks ago. And we're here to answer any questions. Appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Thanks, John. Will Nichols, VHB. We're the civil engineer for the project. I think we're all generally familiar with the plans, but I would like to walk through the changes we've made over the past couple of weeks. As you know, our client's proposing specific repairs in Seaport Boulevard. The streetscape improvements generally include a closed curb cut, curb realignment, new concrete sidewalks, and permeable hardscape materials in the public way. In addition, the project's proposing 2 water features at the main entrance to the building that extend partially into the public way as well. At New Business 2 weeks ago, we received a comment related to these water features, and we were asked to prepare a rendering just showing sort of the placement and the scale of these water features. So as you can see here on the site rendering, which gives you a flavor of the streetscape improvements, these water features have somewhat of a low profile. They're well outboard of the pedestrian route, and they're located, like I said, right at the main entrance of the building, outboard of the main entry steps. And some of the other streetscape elements are identified here: the bollards, the streetscape materials, the hardscape. Again, just to give you a flavor. At New Business, we were also asked about bollard spacing, specifically at the westerly edge of the site. So the plans have been revised to show a 5-foot clear width between the bollards here. This dimension was coordinated closely with the folks at the Office of Disability, and it's my understanding that they're in support of this dimension as well. Additionally, you may have noted the bollards that are located at the main entrance drop-off have been completed from the plans. We looked at this and thought with the 6-inch curb reveal along that edge, the bollards are somewhat redundant in terms of pedestrian protection. So we reviewed this again with the Office of Disability, and it's my understanding that they're also in support of this change.
So there's going to be nothing to separate pedestrians and the parking lane?
We'll have a 6-inch curb reveal throughout it.
So the 6-inch curb will be on the backside?
It will, yes. So as you pull up to the drop-off, you'll have a 6-inch curb to your right. Let's see. Another comment that we received in New Business was related to the median and the overall width of the median, specifically at the narrowest point, at the easterly edge. I believe the concern was raised related to signage placement. We've gone forward, we've provided dimensions every 20, 30 feet or so, showing that general width of the median. And as you can see at the narrowest point, where it's basically a back-to-back curb condition. I know it's very unique, but I do want to say that, you know, over the past couple of months, this layout has been coordinated closely with folks at BTD and Public Works. The intent, as I understand it, is to prevent a legal left turn out of the site. That's why you see this unique condition, which is, like I said, very rare. In terms of safety and providing a warning for drivers as you approach this median from the easterly edge, the the team is open to working with BTD to find an engineered solution that may include pavement markings in advance of the median and/or flexible stanchions, something that's vertical, a vertical element, but that's removable, but also accommodates for snowplows as well. Additionally, there was a comment on overall roadway widths. So you can see on the plans, we've not only identified the widths of the median, but also at the neck down areas, at crosswalks, for example, we provided additional dimensions, just so that we're very clear on what the overall curb-to-curb width is going to be. Switching gears to utilities, we've had some productive conversations with Mike Nelson and his team over the past couple of weeks. We met with his folks on the 15th of June. As a result of those discussions, the project is now proposing a tide gate access panel in the Harbor Walk. This is located at an existing drainage outfall that's owned by the city. We've shown that conceptually in plan view, what that looks like. The access panel has an associated maintenance hatch and upstream inspection port. Those are details that we're happy to work with Mike Nelson on. Moving forward, our client's committed to meeting all BWC requirements, and we're happy to work closely with him as we basically gain a revised site plan approval. I believe those are the comments that we received. I think John alluded to this earlier, but over the past couple of months, we've received a ton of great feedback, a ton of support from the community, and I believe at this time we have letters of support from ISD, the BPDA, Veolia, Verizon, Neighborhood Services, Street Lighting, etc. And so we're thrilled to take this next step and move forward with construction. And we do appreciate your time. At this time, I would like to open up for any questions.
Will, thanks so much. We obviously appreciate that part of the rendering that you provided of the water feature, the adjustments to the bollards, sort of conversations that we've progressed around the tide gates, and certainly how we deal with sort of the eastern end of the median. I think whether it is a flex post, whatever BTD, frankly, sort of determines as the right way to identify that point that'll be valuable sort of during the construction phase. Okay. Mike, do you feel on the tide gate that we're in a good place?
Yeah, the design that they've resubmitted is what we need. Are you providing the mirror design for the second outfall? So there's two panels?
Yeah, so no one wants to take ownership of that, but it's a water and sewer has one. MassDOT both are going like this. So I talked to Nui Wen from MassCort the other day, and I said, I know you guys aren't taking ownership of this, but we're going to treat the other outfall pipe, whomever from the state owns it, the same way we're treating water and sewers. And she
That's
said
a smart thing to do, because no matter who owns it, someone is going to need to protect it with a tide gate, and they'll need to access it.
Well, thank you.
So thank you.
Other questions or comments on this? Amir Todd? Members of the public? I'll entertain a motion on this.
I'll make a motion to approve petition by Cronin Holdings LP for the making of specific repairs in Seaport Boulevard, South Boston, as read into the record by the chair. Shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Specific Repair Plan, 150 Seaport Boulevard, 3 sheets, dated May 4th, 2018.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Our next item is also on a petition by Cronin Holdings LP for the granting of a projection license for the installation of a canopy over a portion of the sidewalk within Seaport Boulevard, South Boston, located on its northeasterly side at address number 150 across from B Street. This was new business on June 7th, 2018. And this is as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, License Plan, 150 Seaport Boulevard, Seaport, 1 sheet, dated May 4th, 2018.
Again, good morning, everyone. John Pulgini again. With me is Michael Knieve from Cronin Group, Will Nichols, VHB, and Rebecca LeClaire from Elkis Manfredi. Kind of just reiterate what I had said earlier. You guys are all familiar with the project. At this point, I'd like to turn it over to Will Nichols so he could walk you through that part of it.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Will Nichols, VHB. Again, we're very familiar with the site, the plans. This is a canopy license to enable the construction of a canopy that's located at the main entrance of the building. We work closely with ISD to ensure that we're meeting the city standards, which includes an internal drain system, and the canopy itself will be heat traced as well. Only a portion of the canopy extends into the public way, as noted on the plan. I believe it's 3 feet maximum, maybe just under. So again, if you have any questions, let us know.
Any questions or comments?
When we projected to start construction?
So we hope to demo within the next month.
Good, excellent. So we're off and running.
Amy or Todd? Members of the public? All right, I'll entertain a motion on the projection license.
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by Cronin Holdings LP for the granting of a projection license for the installation of a canopy over a portion of the sidewalk within Seaport Boulevard. As read into the record by the chair and as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, License Plan, 150 Seaport Boulevard, Seaport, one sheet dated May 4th, 2018.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Thanks.
Moving on to new business, our first item is 1-70 Villar Road, Faywood Road, 160-248 Waldemar Avenue, East Boston, a discontinuance, widening and relocation, specific repairs on a set of joint petitions by Trinity Orient Heights, Phase 2 Limited Partnership, and the Boston Housing Authority.
Thank you, Commissioners. My name is David Limhart with Goulson & Stores. On behalf of the development team, I'll let others introduce themselves, Sienna, Dean, and Deb.
Hello, Sienna DeSantis with Trinity Financial.
Dean Papadimitriou, counsel for the Boston Housing Authority, co-petitioner.
Deborah Danik, Niche Engineering, project engineer.
And Deb's going to present the improvements. By way of background, just for context, wanted to mention that we're back now for Phase 2. This is the redevelopment of Orient Heights. In total, 331 units. And Phase 1 is 120 units. It's already completed, just about. There's going to be a ribbon cutting ceremony tomorrow, so we're just about there. So for Phase 2, we're now looking at some of the roadway improvements need to happen for the next phase of 88 units. And we're in the middle of the BPDA approval process. We submitted a notice of product change and also a 121A application for deviations for zoning relief. And that's been scheduled for a BPDA board vote, and will likely, at least for now, we're scheduled for July 12th. And so we expect to get the vote at that time. So as to the improvements, I'll just sort of hand over to Deb.
Thank you. I'm sorry, as David mentioned, we're working on Phase 2 of a 3 to 4 phase project. In front of you, we have petitions to improve Valor Road, which is an existing City of Boston public way, and to improve it to meet the complete streets guidelines, to provide parking on both sides of the road, 11-foot drive aisles, and then sidewalks, 8.5-foot wide sidewalks that have street trees and cement concrete walkways. At the end of Valor Road, you enter it from Faywood Avenue, and there's actually a cul-de-sac at the end of it. This image right here is what we're proposing for it to look like in the future, with the existing buildings demoed and the new buildings up. This is looking at the mid-rise building on the south side of Valor Road. Some of the improvements we're also doing, other than just widening the road, reconstructing the width of the road, there's also utility improvements included in our proposal. Those include drainage modifications in order to meet the new curb alignment. We've also worked closely with Boston Water and Sewer Commission to speak to the existing storm drain and sewer piping under the road and some improvements that need to go to that. We're also installing a new water main through the portion of the road that will be reconstructed, as well as there's existing overhead utilities on utility poles that will be grounded, and the street lights are on those utility poles, so the project will be providing new street lights to meet Boston Streetlight current standards. A little bit more technical, you have in front of you we're proposing Phase 2 reconstruction is only a portion of Valor Road. Right now, for the PIC purposes, we're proposing to permit the future layout of the full Valor Road such that we meet the complete streets guidelines for the full road. There's only one layout, one discontinuance and plan needed, as well as the widening plans. More specifically, some of the improvements you'll see if you look at the plans in detail. On Valor Road existing, kind of halfway, the road's about 800 feet long. About 300-400 feet into it, you get to a community center on the south side of the site. At that community center, there's existing head-in parking.
we're proposing to maintain the same number of parking spaces, but shift them over further west on Bauer Road, such that cars, when they're parked, their headlights won't go into the new building that was installed in phase 1, and also it provides more of an open area for pedestrians and people accessing the community center, so it's a better feel for them, and they're not halfway in front of a parking lot for a portion of it. The other thing you'll notice on the plans, we do have some striping, so part of the widening of the roadway was to allow fire truck access to meet current standards to get around this cul-de-sac and still provide parking on one side. So there are small portions at the cul-de-sac and then at the connection to Faywood Avenue that we have hatched for no parking, so that in the event that a fire truck needs to pass through there, they could do
Is
that.
there also additionally signage for that?
Correct, yep.
I don't see it represented on the plan.
Okay, we'll make sure to get that on there. We'll add signage for no parking bounding those locations.
Yeah, I mean, you should have an overall signage plan for the entire street. You got, handicap parking has to be standard.
Yes.
Signage, et cetera, so you can put that together, that'd be greatly appreciated.
Absolutely, yeah. We do have a separate set of signage plans for the construction documents. We can add more detail to this as well as make sure that you have a set of that signage plan.
That would be my second question. Construction documents, construction management plan, where's that?
So the construction documents, so this is a public way. It's being designed, permitted, and constructed by the private entity. So what we're going to do is Niche is going to help oversee the management of, it's actually going to be publicly bid. So the management of that public bid, and then we'll come back for street acceptance of the improvements for the public way.
Specifically, the traffic management plan,
Yep.
construction management plan, I haven't seen anything on that.
Correct. So the timing.
When can I expect that?
Yep, so the timing of this project is that we will be bidding that public project next month, but the contractor will not be starting work until March of next year. So we currently don't have a contractor on board, but as part of the public bid document, they will need to provide a CMP and they will need to get it approved by your office in order to do the work.
So we're not providing them, anybody that's bidding on it, with a baseline of what they can expect for restrictions, traffic management plan, phasing. There's nothing that for them to bid on?
We don't have that currently in the set. There is a private construction project that's happening as part of this as well. So the private work, the contractor is bid on a private process and picked through a private process. So the public bid documents have a lot of language about having to coordinate timing, construction, traffic management with that private site. There is a provision in the public bid contract right now that the contractor has to provide a traffic management plan and get that approved in order to do the work.
So my issue here is that with what they think they're gonna be working a 7 to 3, unrestricted, and then they find out that we're gonna have some restrictions on the work, that's an issue. And if they have an expectation, they know up front what the baseline is gonna be,
Yep.
you might get a little bit better bid.
Okay.
That's the experience I've had, so.
Thank you.
It's up to you.
Yeah, what would be the best way to get that feedback for what may be required from the city specifically to this part of the project?
It's based on methodology of how we're gonna reroute pedestrians, because you have individuals that live out here. So how we're gonna basically provide a contiguous, pedestrian walkway while we're doing sidewalks and while we're doing roadway, et cetera.
Yep.
And there needs to be a little thought into that, so that, we're not going in there and running roughshod over the community and giving them the whole roadway. That's not gonna happen.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, correct, yeah. So the phase 2 portion of this project is at the cul-de-sac dead end, so there'll definitely be a point, and the buildings are coming down a point where pedestrians cannot walk through.
Right.
So, but the access to the eastern portion of the road, the phase 3 part, yes, we're already talking with a construction manager as part of the project about how do you think you would build this and how would it work, because there will be kind of this stub end, people still living in these buildings, even, like fire access, if something to happen. Thank you. So, that's the big picture on the specific repairs. The other thing that so in order to lay out this new road, we have a relocation and extension plan, as well as some small discontinuances. So I previously mentioned that you can see our proposed roadway line work and the existing roadway line work. I mentioned earlier, we're redoing a water line for Boston Water and Sewer Commission. That water line is actually going to take a different path than existing, so we're working with them to tie up the easements that we need in order to have the water line connects to Waldemar Avenue and up the hill to Valor Road. So the easements we may need going through the site there in order to provide access to BWC for the water pipe, as well as just looking in general at easements going through that.
Yeah, and because we're basically changing the line of Valor Road, we'll need the council for the project proponent to work with Public Works Council to address those easement issues, and if they have to be amended, and they need to be recorded, and then given to BWC. So we'll certainly need those by site plan.
Okay, perfect. Are there any other questions?
As we've talked about in other projects, at some point there's going to be an interest by a telecom company probably to put in an antenna on one of the street lights. If you could just connect with Amy during the course of this process to make sure that we're thinking about whether it's fiber and power to select pole domes, whatever might be needed, that we're actually ready for. We're building it so you can actually reduce the cuts in the future
Gotcha.
that are going to happen on the street.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we'll have 2 different construction phases to try and hit that target.
Yep. Other questions or comments on this? And your thought? Members of the public? All right, our next PIC meeting is in 3 weeks, which is July 12th. Does that work for you guys?
Yep.
All right, we'll see you on July 12th.
Great, thank you. Have a good holiday.
Our next item of new business is Jeffrey Street, Harrison Avenue, East Canton Street, East Dedham Street, and Boston proper. Layout approval, specific repairs on a set of petitions by MEPT Harrison, Albany Block Owner, LLC.
Morning. So my name is Chris Andy. I'm with Niche Engineering, civil engineer for the project. I'm here with Jim Monteverdi from CVT, Harry Nash from Leg of Call, and Brian Jarrett from Halverson Design. So we're here for the Harrison Avenue Block project, which is going to be a new residential building with a 2-level underground garage. Got a rendering of the project right here. It's an 11-story building with about 300 units and about 650 parking spaces. So it's located in the south end, Harrison Ave, Albany Street, East Canton Street, and East Dedham Street, almost the entire block, minus 3 parcels. So we were in front of PIC for this last spring in 2017 for the discontinuance of Andrews Street. That was necessary to consolidate the parcels together to make room for this building. And so now we're back to basically get specific repair approval for the streets around the project and a new private way which will replace Andrews Street, which we call Jeffrey Street now. Demo work is currently underway on site, and we're hoping to have a foundation permit, building permit, in July, coming up soon. So I can walk through the plans. There are a lot of plans, but it's just a very long street. So essentially, the work consists of removing and resetting the existing curb. Where necessary, we're adding in sections that are missing. The street isn't in the best condition today. We'll basically add a new vertical granite curb and regrade the sidewalk so that it's accessible throughout its length. We've already removed the street trees. We had a street tree hearing last August in 2017 and removed the street trees so that we could facilitate the demo on site. Street lights, where they can be, will be maintained, and we'll just put new heads on them. Right now, they're the old golf ball style lights. We're going to replace those with the acorns at the request of street lighting. And where we need to, we're going to move them a few feet or add in a few where they're missing. We're also proposing a new permeable strip and area along the sidewalk. That's also going to include bike racks and trees. And then new pedestrian ramps where necessary, including the reciprocal ramps across the street. So that work is consistent for East Dedham Street, East Canton Street, and Harrison Avenue. They're all very similar to each other. There's nothing that really stands out specifically about any of them. There's a little bit of work that we're doing across the street, replacing some broken sidewalk panels and reconstructing a few driveway entrances, which are also included in the plans.
Chris, you're going to cover this, but you've obviously removed the street trees. I assume the plan is also to replace them post-construction?
Yes. So we have a plan for, we have a landscape plan that includes new street trees, including other plantings. So the second item, and so we're also including pedestrian easements here where needed to get to the 5-foot wide width. The permeable strip is there obviously because we need to have that, but also it's the width that it is so that we can fit the bike racks that are required under the TAPA. So we needed to have a little bit of room for a pedestrian easement to make the 5-foot wide.
So there are no pet easement plans, there will be pet easement plans, and we'll advertise pet easements internationally.
Other item is the new layout of Jeffrey Street. The work here is very similar. It's the same style as the other streets, Harrison, East Canton, and East Dedham. We basically have new street trees, new concrete sidewalks. We'll be replacing the curb where needed along the backside of 660 Harrison Ave, which is an existing building to remain. And then there will be some new storm drainage since we're creating the new street here. That's what I've got.
We'll see a signage and marking plan involved in this. Do you have one? You do?
Yeah, we can get that over to you.
Yeah, definitely get that. All of the new street lighting that they should be looked at. We'd like to minimize the number of poles we're installing for signage, utilizing street lights.
Okay.
Markings, etc. Section of East Dedham. You only do a portion of it in front of your project, and then the rest, is that consistent with that portion that you're not doing? Is it the same streetscape design, or are we going to have a void between the old and the new?
Are you talking about on, like, for instance, sheet 2, where we stop, have a gap, and then pick it up on the other side?
Yep.
So basically, that is phase 2 of the project that will be constructed after this. So we're talking about phase 1, which is the underground garage and the building number 1. There's the other half of the site, building 2, which will be down the road, and we'll come back to PIC at that time. We don't want to beat it up while we're building building 2.
Wise.
The garage entrance or access is off of Jeffrey?
So loading dock access is off of Jeffrey. Garage is off of a private driveway closer to Albany Street.
Same comments as the previous hearing. There was a huge demand to put antennas on streetlights to improve access to cell service. If you could just connect with Amy or Todd between now and the public hearing, just to make sure that we are installing streetlights that are actually prepared to potentially be transformed someday if that ever becomes the need, given that it's likely to come.
Okay.
Other questions or comments on this? Amy or Todd?
Great.
Members of the public? All right. 3 weeks is our next hearing. Does that work for you?
Yes.
All right. So you want to talk about?
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Our next item of new business is Alfred Street, Dexter Street in Charlestown, a grant of location on a petition by Eversource.
All right, good morning.
My name is Dwayne Boyce, with project manager with Eversource. To my left, Mike Sutton, VHB. And to my far left, David Peters, South Burns McDonald. We're here before the board to seek approval for installation of a new 115 kV circuit, leaving our substation yard on Alfred Street, right onto Dexter, where it crosses the city line into Everett. As part of the project, we've worked extensively with the various members on the commission to solidify details about the project. It's a duct bank, which is approximately 3.5 feet wide, about 2.5 feet deep, and it'll be traveling, like I said, on Alfred Street and Dexter Street.
Obviously, there's a lot of construction that's happening in this particular area. I assume there's been a lot of coordination both around the Alpha Street Bridge work as well as casino work, et cetera, that's happening?
Yes. So we've been working very closely with the folks at WIN, and we also know about the Alfred Street Bridge, which is coming up in the fall.
Yes.
So we're trying to get in there and install our facilities.
So when do you expect to start the construction? Because we have a very aggressive schedule right now to get WIN and the roadway improvements up and operational.
So we're currently in construction in Everett. We have a crews mobilized. As soon as we get the approval from the city, we're ready to.
We thought you guys were going to be in here a few months ago, so.
Yep. Yeah, we were working through some items. We're in a position now where, like I said, the contractor is mobilized, and we're ready to start construction as soon as we get approval.
Everett's waiting for it. Yep.
So Mike, what conversation have you had with the traffic consultants on the Sullivan Square project and the Alfred Street Bridge?
Actually,
where they are phasing right now.
Yep, I haven't worked with anybody on the Sullivan Square stuff. Everything we're doing, the setup start on the other side of the Alfred Street Bridge, on the Everett side. So we shouldn't have any impact on the Sullivan Square project per se for that.
Are you doing some work adjacent to the ball field?
That's for an additional project. That's for the Mystic to Woburn project, which I'm also on.
But that's important for both transportation and public works.
Yep.
We don't want to lay new asphalt and sidewalks and you guys come back out and dig it up.
That project there actually, at least the last design I saw, the crossing came directly across 99 into the ball field there and into the existing manhole section.
Which we're reconstructing now.
Yes. So but that's being worked through on a separate track as part of the Mystic to Woburn project. We have to go back to EFSB due to the changes.
You know what I'm getting at.
Yep.
So where are we? Are we going to finish our project and you're going to petition us to come back in?
I don't know. That's a separate project, and I have to talk to that project.
It's not going to be a nice meeting. Understood?
Understood.
I mean, it is the same 115 kV, right? It's one side of the river.
No, it's a totally different project, different line.
Completely separate project.
Yep. That one goes all the way up into Winchester.
Yeah, and connects into the other side of the river. Which
Correct.
then goes under the river to the Mystic substation.
To the substation.
And this is a 115 kV that comes out of that substation?
Yes.
Comes out, goes up.
Comes out of the substation and goes north.
Goes north onto 99.
Not the same line though, unfortunately. So it's broken up into different contracts for Eversource's reasons.
So that's a concern, major concern. Bring that back. We want a resolution.
Sure, sir.
And we sorted out everything with the test pits, right? We know where the water main is, we know where we're going. All that's been settled?
So I sent that in I'm sorry.
Yeah, you did send it in to us, but...
Yes, so I would like to sit with Phil LaRock again and walk through it with him, because that's what I did with him initially, and I think that works best when we meet face to face. So last Friday, I believe I sent that in, and to give him an opportunity to digest it first, and then I'd go in to meet with him.
That's great.
Okay.
We're actually getting the survey points, I believe, today, and we'll have those plotted on the base files to meet with Phil and review.
Right, so I have actual coordinates of where the test pit locations were performed, as well as what the findings were, and some findings we found your facility, and other locations we didn't find your facility. So I want to show Phil what we did find.
Well, we know where it's not, that's where you guys can. We can facilitate that, make sure it happens before the
public hearing, absolutely, sir.
Yep. Great.
Other questions, comments, or concerns? Amy or Todd? Members of the public? Obviously, there's a couple of conversations that will happen between now and July 12th See you guys on July 12th.
Yep. Sure. Yes. Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our final item of new business is Alger Street, Chippewa Way, Ewer Street, Damrell Street, Dorchester Street, Old Colony Avenue, South Boston, abandonment, line and grade approval, layout approval, widening and relocation, pedestrian easements, specific repairs on a set of joint petitions by DJ Properties LLC and the City of Boston Public Works Department.
Good morning, Commissioners, the Board, Attorney Joe Hanley, McDermott, Pulte, and Miller. With me is the development team, Tim Mackey to my right, who is the project manager and principal developer, Core Investments. John Schmidt is with Niche Engineering and has worked on the engineering materials for the petitions before you. Also, Rob Hagan is with us from Pravlich Chilinsky Architects, and Shannon Lane from Halverson Landscape Architects, and Brian Bizel from Howard Stein Hudson on traffic. Just to give you a brief overview for this development project before you. Washington Village is the name of this community-based development that enjoyed significant widespread community-based support for a new mixed-use revitalization of some underutilized former industrial properties in Andrews Square. It's about 4.89 acres of land, and it's bordered by Dorchester Street, Damrell, Alger, heading towards Dorchester Avenue. 8 new buildings proposed, which you'll see. 99,000 square feet of ground floor retail space in those structures, a quarter of which is an anchor grocery store. It's a huge piece of this development and a big part of the driving community support for this area, which is a bit of a food desert. And over 600 units, 650 plus units of residential housing with over 100 units of deed-restricted affordable housing. So very impactful, positive development approved by the Zoning Commission as a planned development area in 2016. This year up through recently this spring, demo of the existing structures was completed. Cut and cap has also been completed. And now we have been working, thanks to this commission, staff and the BPDA and BTD, on the petition that you've allowed us to come and introduce as new business. It includes an abandonment of a private way, 3 new streets, highway and pedestrian easements, and sidewalk repairs, all as it relates to a very robust new public realm that's being created. So I'd like to ask John Schmidt to take you through the individual petitions and have the rest of the team available for questions and answers. Thank you.
I'll start with the overview plan, and I'm happy to dig deep into any details you might want to hear. Alger Street, the private way, presently starts at Dorchester Ave here and extends approximately 600 feet in dead ends inside within the parcel itself. So the first piece of action is to abandon that private way. The second action would be recreate that private way, reconstruct that into a public way, where Algers would meet at Dorchester Ave and extend to the proposed intersection with Chippewa Way within the project development. This public way will have complies with complete street guidelines, pervious pavers, street trees, etc. The dimensioning has been worked out in regards to pavement width and sidewalk width with the BPDA traffic folks.
With the who?
BPDA, Boston Planning and Development Agency.
They're getting involved in roadway design, is that, did I just hear that?
Yes, well, they were there as well as BPD, so Pat.
So you were there though?
Yep.
Okay, so I want to make sure.
I don't want to misrepresent. I apologize.
I don't think they do traffic.
I'll just say city in general. All right.
Just want to be clear on that.
Understood.
All right.
Understood. We have a proposed new public way at Chippewa, which will start at the intersection of Alger and will come out to Demorell Street. Again, this will be reconstructed with complete street guidelines. We also we are not totally enthralled with the proposed name, so we're exploring alternative names, and we may petition the city for a name change sometime in the coming future. We creation of Ewer Street, which is a private way which will start at Emerald and meet into Alger Street at this end of the project. Our property line essentially ends here. And then we have a number of specific repair proposals on Damrell Street, specific repairs through here, Old Colony specific repairs, as well as Dorchester Street. Along Damrell Street is presently, the pavement width there is 26.8 feet wide. We're widening that to be 28 feet. And then the sidewalk there will provide a 12-foot wide sidewalk. 5 feet of that will be the pervious paver, complete street requirements, and then we have a 7-foot concrete sidewalk. We're also providing a highway easement from the property line to the building face to ensure that that property is available for future Boston Public Works and city needs, should that be necessary moving forward. As you are probably aware, we are proposing a loading dock here that has some, the city is totally not bought into, and we completely understand that. But we hope to work with the city BTD department and others in the next 3 weeks to come to a solution that is amenable to everyone.
I appreciate that. And have you loading before the supermarket?
Correct. What street would that be on?
Damrell?
Here's the rub.
So we'll hopefully schedule a meeting with you in the immediate future.
Make sure I'm included.
Absolutely.
Sure you'll.
That would be helpful for us.
On Old Colony, we have approximately 11.9, 12-foot sidewalk here. Again, we have 5.5 feet of pavers, 6.5 feet of concrete sidewalk. And on Dorchester Ave, we have a 12.5-foot sidewalk, which is 5.5 feet of pavers and 6.8 feet of concrete sidewalk. We are proposing pedestrian easements here to ensure the safe and accessible access for the public pedestrian force. And that is the quick summary of the actions. I can go through each sheet if you like, or if there's specific questions, I'm happy to entertain them.
One of the things that would be helpful is more the summary level. How do you imagine Alger Street and Damrell, how each of those streets relate to the development itself? It sounds like Damrell you're using more as a sort of a back street type sort of loading street, and Alger's more of a front door. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's correct. PCA.
Rob Hagan, College Polinsky Associates. We've actually considered Alger Street as sort of more of our pedestrian conduit through to Dorchester Avenue. It ties closer to the pedestrian connection to Andrew Square T Station, and at Damrell, knowing that it's going to be widened, would be more of a service and vehicular through traffic stream.
One of the things which obviously the city, as you all know, spent a lot of time looking at the .app corridor. It is useful for us to make sure that this use of Damrell sort of aligns with what was envisioned for connecting people from to .app from points east. And so we should make sure that those conversations in advance of the public hearing take place, that we can set aside enough space on Damrell to ensure that we have the right degree of connectivity between Old Colony and .app.
Absolutely.
And again, to pick up on that, as far as that becoming the pedestrian conduit circulation, vehicular circulation, cycle circulation, have we looked at the intersection in Ave and Alger as far as upgrade signals, more analysis, because it's going to be a lot more busier in the future. What have we done with that?
I specifically can't speak to that. Guy Busa is, Howard Hudson has been working on the traffic piece of that, and I know that
somebody from
Brian is
Brian.
here.
Come on, Brian. Come on.
So I'm actually covering for one of my colleagues, so I'm not sure exactly what Alger at .app, but we will definitely look into it and have an answer for you.
And again, also very concerned about Damrell.
Yes.
Trucks coming in, loading dock, access from Old Colony, etc. I mean, that
We will be at the meeting when that's scheduled.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, so the only thing I would add on the Dorchester Ave being the back of our site, there's two properties that kind of
Depends on how you looked at it.
separate.
The front of your site.
Right, but this same ownership team also owns 20 acres where Alger Street, we actually see Alger Street as a real street and a connection for us because there's a lot of retail in these 8 buildings on the ground floor on each side essentially. And So as Alger Street goes down across Dot Ave, it goes down into the old junkyard site, which our client owns next to the train station. So we see that as being, we also have a TAPA, that we worked out as part of the Article 80 approval for Washington Village as well.
So it hasn't been signed off yet, from what I understand. Right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
precipitating the loading issues and these type of issues, so.
Yeah.
It's a great project, I want to say that first and foremost, and
Yeah, so
I'm excited about it. I got your contractor in, Lee Kennedy, we started the initial, CMP review and pretty good, so, but we want to make sure that we make a good quality of the life adjustment for your future, residents that are in this area and stuff like that.
Thank you.
Very 100%, thank you.
Are there things that you want to flag in specific repair plan on any of the class streets?
Not specifically. I think that the loading dock was the biggest issue. They meet the complete street guidelines. They're similar, in regards to previous pavers, bicycle parking, street trees, that sort of thing.
Other questions or comments?
I think you mentioned you already have approved site plan?
We do not.
You do not?
So in regards to the project schedule itself, we have been working with Boston Water and Sewer on a utility plan, master utility plan. Our hope is to, can I speak? If I misspeak,
Sure,
please correct me. Our intent is to start the infrastructure work before the building work. And originally we were hoping to start it this fall, but this may slide until next spring. But in the building design right now is probably at a strong schematic design. So we have to advance those designs. We actually have to advance those designs to the point where we make sure our services are sized appropriately for the infrastructure. So it's all coming together.
How are you going to submit the site plans to us? Is it going to be by street, by parcel? Is it going to be one big package?
We'll have one package for the infrastructure, and then as each building comes online, we'll do that separately.
Yeah. And then each building will have
They have its own site plan up. Yeah.
And when's that coming? That's coming this fall?
The infrastructure plan has been through the department once, maybe twice. I've had a meeting with Phil on it. Irene has looked at it. So we've been working on the utility layout and that sort of thing in regards to stormwater recharge and other issues. So it does have a number, a site plan number. And our hope is once we get the geometry in the program nailed down, we can then advance the drawings even further.
Very good.
The three connecting streets, they're private?
This is a driveway, this is a private way, and this is a public way. Just as Chippewa.
The old Chippewa. Good football team.
Other questions or comments? Henry Todd, members of the public. All right, so it seems like a couple conversations. One is obviously the loading zone on Demrel.
Thank you for that.
A conversation about the width of Demrel to make sure it's supporting the overall sort of connectivity east-west in that area. And then through that intersection of Alger and Dot Ave with Gaia and the House Finance. All right. July 12th work for you? We'll see you in 3 weeks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's our final item. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn, is your turn.
I'll second that one.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.